This is the plaintiff, Alexander Petrov. He says he rented a room from the nosy defendant, who invaded his privacy whenever he had a guest sleep over. He even charged him an extra $300 a night when he had someone sleep over. He also entered his room when he wasn't there. It all got to be too much, and he eventually found another place and moved out. Now the guy won't return his security. He overcharged him for electricity, and he's here seeking the $1,840 for all he's out. This is the defendant, DeAndre Zephyr. He says the plaintiff practically moved his father into his room. That's when the problem started. The plaintiff decided to move out to resurrect his marriage. He broke their agreement, and he has every right to withhold his deposit money. This guy should never have sued him, because if anyone still owed additional money here, it's him. He's accused of being too nosy. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $4,500 for the remainder of the rent owed.
All parties, please use your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff says the defendant was a creepy landlord who charged him every time he had someone spend the night with him and even spied on him. But the defendant says the guy only moved because he tried to save his marriage. It's the case of who's been sleeping in my bed.
Alexander Petrov, you are suing DeAndre Zephyr, your former landlord, for $1,840, representing the return of your security deposit, some extra utilities you feel you shouldn't have had to pay for, and pain and suffering. You're counterclaiming against him for the rest of his lease because, according to you, he broke it early without reason. Talk to me. What happened?
So I moved in January of this year. What happened was he told me originally that utilities were included, but as time went on, he decided that he could, charge me extra for them.
Why'd you agree if they were included? What did your lease say?
According to the lease, they were included.
Really? Because I looked at your lease and it says electricity paid by tenant and owner, right? Go look at it.
Well, I don't have a copy of the lease.
Oh, well then how do you know what according to the lease it says?
Well, in the agreement that we talked about, he told me that it was included as, as part of the agreement. Now, there's 4 people who live there, including himself, and $160 a month is a little too much, for a single room.
You mean in rent?
No, for the utilities, just for the utilities.
Okay. Do you have a copy of your lease?
I do not have a copy of the lease.
Where's your copy of your lease?
I only have receipts for the things that he charged me.
Do you have a copy of the lease?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it?
Thank you, sir.
Item number 11, owner will provide services which are required by law. The following services and utilities are the responsibility of renter unless otherwise indicated below. Electricity, owner/tenant. Gas, owner. Water, owner. Cable TV, owner. Telephone, tenant. Air conditioner, tenant. It's all actually spelled out in the lease. Okay? But in any event, so he comes to you for your half or whatever, or a portion that you felt was too big?
When I started to talk, when I confronted him about it, I told him, listen, this is too much to be charged, for just 1 month for a single room. He said, can I just pay him the $160 or he would kick me out?
Right, but why don't you just look at, do you have the electricity bill?
No, I don't, man.
And what were you charging him for?
The bill was safe fences. The bill was $400. It was broken evenly. So all of us, in turn, was in the household, spent it evenly. His portion was the same as all of us we paid. It was split in 4. And it wasn't $160, it was $60.
All right, so you don't want to get kicked out. Were you going through a divorce or a separation or something?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm
All
separated.
right, so you're there, you don't want to have to relocate, you pay the money. What else was a problem?
He would make me do chores around the house. Like, he would make me mop the common area and sweep the common area. He would make me wash the bathroom, even though there are other roommates there in the same house. They didn't have to do any of that. He just kind of made me do it.
Man. What, did he have a whip or something? How did he?
Exactly. Like, you know what I'm saying?
What's that about? Answer that.
Man, basically what it was, when he moved in, I stipulated and explained to him the rules of the house. Basically, it was each one of us, each weekend, cleans up the household.
Who does what? Do you decide who does what?
No, we all clean every weekend. We all clean the top part of the house. It's not just a point where he was him alone.
All right, so he made you clean. What else? Sounds like a slave driver, you know,
Oh,
just
really?
making you actually do your share. All right, so go on.
The other thing was he would find reasons to knock on my door. Hey, Alex, why didn't you take out the garbage? Why didn't you do this? But I'd have guests over.
Okay, honest to God, you sound like my children right now.
Thank you.
He'd knock on your door and say, why didn't you do what you needed to do while you had guests over? That's embarrassing. Listen, my friend, I understand why you left. Because you don't want to be, oh, by the way, you and your wife are back together?
Working on it.
Working on it. But you're living with her, right? Okay. Because according to you, he told you, I'm leaving because I'm back together with my wife.
Basically, the situation was this. When he signed the lease, he came to me and said he wanted to reconcile with his wife, which I said to him, why would you lock yourself inside of a lease if you knew you were trying to reconcile with your wife? You shouldn't, in turn, sign the lease. You signed the lease for a year, so you're held accountable for the year. If you're here for the year, after the year, I have no issue. You can leave. I'll give you back your security deposit. It's not an issue.
So from the beginning, he told you he was trying to reconcile?
After the first 20 days, man, he came and said, and I'm like...
All right, but after signing the lease is when you...
Yeah, after you sign the lease.
So now, he tells you when he's leaving, what does he say is the reason?
What transpired to the point where he was leaving was, the fact of the matter, there was one day in which I was actually cleaning up in the house. I had a weird feeling as I looked up, his father was in the house. I asked him, where was Alex at? He said he wasn't here. I was like, okay, well, why are you here? Because by the lease saying you're not supposed to be here. And that was the first instance. Then there was another instance. When that second incident happened, I said, I think it'd be best if we both went our separate ways.
Okay. So you say that to him.
Yes, ma'am.
And then he does. So why do you have a counterclaim against him for 6 months rent when you tell him, I think it's best if we go our separate ways?
So the landlord admits, he said, we should all go our separate ways. Does that give the tenant the right to move out and get the security back?
Yeah, if he initiated it, then you should.
He didn't say, I can break the lease. He just said, we should go our separate ways. Is that the same thing?
I think so.
Is that the same thing? What are you saying?
Yeah, if the landlord's saying it, then by all means, then he should give back.
But we should go our separate ways. Is that the same thing?
I think that you should just move out and get your money back because you're not the one that wanted to leave.
Do you have a hard time sometime getting a word in?
With this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a sec.
Move it. I'm in front.
I was just picking up something here. Going inside the courtroom. Well, before we go inside the courtroom, I mean, she's talking, he's going like this. Okay, going inside the courtroom.
Basically what happened was, the day after we had, and I have the text to show proof, the day after we had the conversation and he said he was going to move out, all apparently a camera disappeared and some garbage. So he texted me asking me after we had the conversation that he was going to move out. 4 days later, the police is at my house. So my situation is, if you're moving out amicably, why are you all of a sudden saying I stole something?
Because he thinks you stole his camera. Now, you thought he stole your camera, right?
Yeah.
But you found the camera.
That's correct, Your Honor.
I can't hear you.
That's right.
Okay. So
Which is
would
why
you
we're here
like
today.
to issue an apology to the man you accused of stealing your camera?
I do regret, saying that he stole my camera.
Okay. And the police didn't do anything, right? They just took his statement, took your statement, and wrote a police report.
I mean, it's just a point of which...
No, I understand. But if you tell a guy to go his own way, why then are you not only keeping his security deposit, but then suing him for 6 months of rent because he broke the lease? You can't have it both ways.
No, man,
it's not about
having it both ways.
Well, you do. Yeah. No, if you tell a guy to go and he goes, you can't sue him for the rent.
Now, you're going to ask me the question and I'm going to respond to you. You asked me what led to the point of which where you're saying that I'm going back and forth. No, the situation came in after he brought the cops into the situation and all this came to be. That's why I countersued. The whole situation...
No, but see, that doesn't matter. You think I'm asking you, why are you being mean? I'm not. I'm asking you, what would be your legal basis for winning a lawsuit on rent if you told him, I think it's best we go our separate ways? Once you do that, you are both mutually rescinding the rest of the lease, so you wouldn't be legally entitled. You come to me, you want a verdict, I'm going to give you one. You understand how it works? All right. So I understand that you feel frustrated. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you wouldn't be legally entitled to that. Now, you're suing for several things. You're suing for the return of the security deposit of $750. It's accurate that he had a security deposit, right? Okay. You're suing for the return of the utilities from January through April. On what theory?
My proof is this. He charged me different amounts every month. January, he did not charge me any electricity. February, he told me that I owe him.
You know the January bill comes in February, sweetheart, right?
Right.
I take it you didn't pay the bills in your house.
Right.
Yeah, I got one of those. All right, stop. You're dead on that. Next issue, pain and suffering, $750. What was your pain and suffering?
Well, I had to rack up my credit cards in order to move out.
Okay. No on your 6 months when you told them best if you move out, and that leaves security deposit. Let's talk about that. On what legal basis are you keeping the security deposit if you told him this isn't working out and we should leave? Because that's what you said. I didn't say that.
No, you're 100% correct. And I also said to him, with him leaving, I'm going to keep the security deposit and won't hold him accountable for the rest of the rent.
Right. But then you and I then just disagree on what the law is. Because when you tell somebody it's best if you go, you exonerate them for the rest of the rent. I'm ordering the return of $750 to the plaintiff on the security deposit. As for the utilities, absolutely not. You agreed to pay those. As for pain and suffering, don't make me laugh. And as for the countersuit, for the same reason, zero. Good luck, folks.
So the plaintiff gets his security deposit back. Mr. Zephyr, I know you were frustrated in there, but you cooked your own goose on that. Do you understand why?
Yeah, I fully understand. I'm not stressing the money. Like, it's just the point of which of how he carried himself. No, I never stress the money. Money's not a thing to me. I always get it back.
You wouldn't give it back to him, so it was an issue with you.
That's your opinion. You do to that.
Okay.
Have a great day.
You got to give it to him. Thank you very much. All right. Here comes the plaintiff. You were seeking a lot, but you didn't get much. You get the security back anyway. That's okay with you? I think that's good with you.
I guess.
Huh.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. You satisfied with what happened today?
Yeah, sure.
Very good. Thank you very much. Man, a few words, Harvey.
Okay, Doug, by saying we should go our separate ways, killed him.